Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're doing everything in your power to convince someone to stay in your life? It could be a romantic partner, a close friend, or even a colleague. You try harder, say the right things, change yourself, but nothing seems to work. What if I told you that ancient Stoic philosophy offers an entirely different approach to dealing with such situations? Instead of convincing them to stay, the Stoics teach us a far more empowering alternative. Today on Stoic Mindset, we're going to dive deep into why convincing someone to be with you is a mistake and what you should be doing instead to live a more fulfilled and resilient life. We're exploring why convincing someone to be with you is not only unnecessary but also harmful to your inner peace. More importantly, we'll discuss what the Stoics advise you to do instead, with wisdom from thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. This video will equip you with a mindset that not only frees you from attachment but strengthens your personal growth. 1. The Stoic view on external relationships. To understand why convincing others to stay is futile, we must first explore the Stoic perspective on relationships. Stoicism teaches that all external things, including relationships, are beyond our control. According to Epictetus, some things are in our control and others are not. Our relationships fall into the category of things we can't control. The actions, thoughts, and desires of another person are entirely theirs. When you try to convince someone to stay, you're attempting to control something inherently uncontrollable, other people's free will. This only leads to frustration and suffering because you're fighting against nature. Stoicism teaches that the only thing we can control is ourselves, our thoughts, judgments, and reactions. Convincing someone to stay is an exercise in focusing on what is beyond your power, and this creates emotional turmoil. By accepting the Stoic belief that relationships are outside our control, we can begin to experience peace, even when others choose to leave. 2. Why convincing someone is counterproductive. When you convince someone to stay, what are you really doing? You're essentially negotiating your worth, attempting to prove to them that you deserve their presence in your life. This approach signals that you are dependent on their validation, which contradicts the Stoic principle of self-sufficiency. In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." When someone leaves, it's not the act of their departure that causes pain, but the story we tell ourselves about it. Often we think their leaving means we're not good enough or that we'll be incomplete without them, but these are simply judgments, ones we can change. The Stoic approach would be to focus on your own judgment of the situation, not to try to change the external reality of someone else's decision. Trying to convince someone is counterproductive because it often comes from a place of fear and insecurity, fear of being alone, fear of rejection, or fear of not being worthy. The more you try to hold on, the more you reinforce your dependence on that person's approval. 3. Embrace acceptance. The Stoic approach. Instead of convincing someone to be with you, the Stoic path advises us to practice amor fati, the love of fate. This concept is about accepting whatever happens as part of the natural course of life. If someone chooses to leave, instead of resisting or trying to persuade them to stay, the Stoic practice is to accept their decision as part of the unfolding of life. As Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to, rather wish that what happens, happens the way it happens, then you will be happy." This doesn't mean you stop caring about people or relationships. It means you recognize that the decision to stay or leave is theirs, and your role is to accept their choice with grace. By embracing acceptance, you preserve your inner peace and maintain control over the only thing that is truly yours, your mind and actions. 4. The power of detachment. Detachment is not about emotional coldness or avoiding relationships, it's about maintaining your center regardless of what happens externally. In Stoicism, detachment means understanding that your worth, happiness, and peace do not depend on the actions or opinions of others. Seneca, a great Stoic philosopher, often emphasized that all things are temporary, including people's presence in your life. He said, "The wise man is neither elated by prosperity nor depressed by adversity, for he has always endeavored to rely chiefly on himself and to derive all his joy from himself." When you practice detachment, you're not avoiding love or connection instead, but you are loving without attachment to the outcome. This frees you from the anxiety of trying to hold on to relationships that may naturally fade. Detachment allows you to love more fully because you're not grasping, you're not in fear of losing what was never yours to control. 5. Invest in self-mastery instead. So, what should you do if convincing someone to stay isn't the answer? The Stoics advise focusing on self-mastery. Instead of spending energy trying to influence another person's decisions, turn that energy inward. Strengthen your virtues, cultivate resilience, and focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Epictetus taught that no man is free who is not master of himself. When you focus on mastering your own emotions, thoughts, and actions, you become less dependent on external validation. The need to convince someone to stay diminishes because you've already found contentment within yourself. 6. Practicing negative visualization. A key Stoic exercise that can help you release attachment is negative visualization. This involves imagining the loss of the people or things you care about, not to invite tragedy, but to prepare your mind for change. By mentally rehearsing the possibility of loss, you can reduce the emotional shock if it happens in reality. As Seneca wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." This exercise helps you detach from the idea that anyone or anything is permanent. It allows you to appreciate relationships while they last, but also be prepared for the natural end of those relationships. Negative visualization helps you cultivate a mindset of acceptance, so if someone leaves, you're ready to let go without feeling devastated. 7. How letting go leads to freedom. Letting go of the need to convince someone to stay opens up a new kind of freedom. When you stop trying to control others, you free yourself from emotional entanglement. You allow others the freedom to make their own decisions, and in doing so, you reclaim your own autonomy. As Marcus Aurelius said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Letting go means reclaiming your power. It means understanding that you are whole, complete, and valuable whether someone chooses to stay or not. It's not about indifference, it's about recognizing that your happiness and peace come from within, not from the presence of another person. Thank you for watching Stoic Mindset. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share.